thanks Ritesh for joining us today, all the way from Delhi. I think I've known you for, firstly from a research standpoint, been doing these stories of entrepreneurship, and your name is always, I always speak about your story in all our global research reports, saying that no, this is one entrepreneur that you should look out for. And I really have a personal question to begin with, right? You've seen success right from the beginning, of course, after a lot of hard work and challenge and all that stuff. How do you stay so humble? And you're so grounded when I meet you. How do you stay so humble despite seeing success at such early age?
So thank you for having me here, Anas. I would do it any day. You're a friend of mine, so you call me, I'll come anyway. But I must congratulate you. The quality of companies that you have awarded tonight. I had some context of what those companies were like, but I think this is truly high quality companies. I know most of the entrepreneurs who are building these businesses. So I think meeting these entrepreneurs had like any reason I'd come by. I think on a lighter note about humility, look, I think life always gets you a reality check, and that has allowed me to stay humble on a lighter note because pre-COVID we were growing rapidly, and then one day India goes on lockdown, and suddenly travel business is not exciting again. Uh, I think at that point of time, it felt like, will travel industry ever survive? So it sort of teaches you that now COVID's gone, business is booming again. I know most people complain me that your rates have increased substantially recently, allow us to make some money from the losses of COVID. But I think it just, you have a reality check now that, there can be another day like that, and everything that you've created could sort of be reset. So to the extent you know that, you wake up every day and try and do your job. I think I also feel like having a good leadership team helps because you could be building a business as large as you like, but every week, Monday morning, we all as a leadership get together. And when we do get together, I think there are questions and challenges thrown at you as if it is day one or day zero. So I think that also is a good thing. But I think a combination of those is, I don't think uh, I think there are people who are more humble. The other Ritesh, I think, is probably my real inspiration. There's another Ritesh, Ritesh Malik, who's founder of Innovate. And I think he's truly like the benchmark of humility that I aspire to get to.
Absolutely, he's a dear friend of mine as well. I think Saket's company won an award today as well.
I
So
saw that.
that's so. Next question is, when you started OYO at that point in time, I think, okay, the fundraising, okay, people, the founders were just getting exposed to fundraising and so on, right? But you absolutely nailed it. You got the best investors to come on board. Uh, how did that lower happen? Is it the Thiel experience, or how did you think about it? Because you're so young, when I was your age, I was possibly watching movies at that point in time, or doing
Yeah, you
something
should
else.
ask our investors. I think Harsha is still around. Is Harsha still around?
Just take
I
gone
think
out.
she's probably not, but Lightspeed was one of our earliest investors. Look, I think let's talk a little bit about fundraising. I genuinely believe that in fundraising, every overnight success is at least a 10-year-old story. So a lot of time what happens is, and a lot of people here will relate, when you do raise capital and your business grows, everybody thinks that, gosh, this happened just like, business started and a few months this has happened. But that's never really true, right? Like it at least takes a few years where everybody around you is rejecting day in and day out, right? Your customers are saying, well, you can do better. Your merchants are saying you can do better. Your team members are also telling you that, maybe it will work, maybe it will not, but I'm here, so it should work. So there is this, and you yourself are also thinking that who knows whether it will work, but I really believe in it, so let's see. So my perspective is that in the first few years of entrepreneurship, the biggest risk is people give up too early because there are many reasons why it will not work, right? There are a few reasons why it will work. To the extent entrepreneurs persevere, keep at it for long enough period of time, capital eventually chases them, is my genuine belief. The Thiel Fellowship made a huge difference, I must acknowledge. So this is the first time I used the opportunity to use my passport. It was the first time I flew overseas. I went from Kota, Rajasthan, because I grew up in Odisha, but I was in Kota for my 11th and 12th grade. I went from there to downtown San Francisco. So it was a culture shock. One day before the Pride Parade, it was a culture shock like never before. But the biggest thing that I learned was thinking did not come with a cost. So you didn't have need to have resources to think big. Once you thought, if you had to execute it, that's when you needed resources, and that's what I found in a lot of entrepreneurs. How many of you have heard about Figma? Figma as a product? Okay, probably 50%, 50% of the room. So the founder of Figma was one class ahead of me at the TL Fellowship. So he used to come to our hacker house. We used to do potluck once in a while, like kids potluck, 19-year-olds all like bringing their own food
What
and
did you
getting
cook?
together for lunch. And Dylan would come in and pitch his product saying why this product makes a lot more sense than everything else that exists with Adobe and various other platforms. And people would look at him with surprise. Folks who were not TL fellows. Folks who were TL fellows would egg him on, saying that do it and we will support you, you'll be successful. For 6 to 7 years, including some of my own investors, I used to nudge them that why don't you invest in Dylan's company? And they would say, well, who knows whether it'll work, not work, and so on. 10 years out, it's probably one of the largest acquisitions Adobe has made. I think probably $19-20 billion. So I think being around these people shapes your perspectives substantially, right? So I think for me, the TL Fellowship truly was a life-changing experience. And I'm trying to do whatever I can to be able to make sure that such communities can get recreated. Like, I think this room is a great community, right? When folks will meet each other, they'll feel like the same opportunities and challenges I see is what somebody else is also seeing. It will validate people's thesis. So I think the TL Fellowship genuinely was a life-changing experience for me.
Has there been many days in your career where, or your journey where you thought like, okay, I'm going to stop all this and I'm going to stop all this and not do this anymore? Have you thought about it any time at all?
Look, you're an entrepreneur yourself, Anas. So I think you ask any entrepreneur, I think it'll be very hard. Like, I know my friends who have sold their companies, made a lot of money, and they are so bored because, we as entrepreneurs wake up every day to make a positive difference, right? Um, when we are working very hard, sometimes it may feel like, gosh, it is so much going on. I don't get any time for anything else. But at least I firmly believe that as entrepreneurs, we are so wired to solve problems every day that if we don't do that for more than a few days, uh, I think it'll be very hard for us to function normally, right? Like, I think I can tell you most entrepreneurs, even when they're at holidays, are thinking about, like, they may not be working, but they'll be thinking that, why can't I do these 2 new ideas or 3 new ideas? So no, I've never thought that I should stop it. I'm very, very happy that I get this opportunity. Look, this was not my fate, right? I was born and brought up in South Odisha. My mom's dream was I get into an engineering college, even if it is tier 3. I get an IT services job. My eldest sister got a job at TCS. So, like, if I had got a job there, 3 lakh CTC, I think whole Raigada would have gotten sweets, right? So it was not my fate. God's been kind. Maybe Indian, technology industry is evolving. TL Fellowship helped me. Something happened. Hospitality industry was at a place where opportunities existed. Something happened. I've gotten a bigger opportunity. So I feel like if with this opportunity I don't make a difference, it'll be unfair to all the opportunities I've gotten. So no, I have never thought like this, and I don't intend to think like this.
And when this COVID hit, right, I think, you, were you looking at role models in your contemporaries? For example, there was emotional message by the Airbnb founder, then Marriott CEO. So who were you looking at? Because I think it's been an incredibly tough time for you, right? Did you have any role models or at least temporary role models during COVID?
Look, I think in my view, there is something to be learned from every business leader, no matter how large or small a company is, because every entrepreneur and business leader operates in their own ways. And there is a reason why they're successful. I think during COVID, naturally, I'm sure a lot of you would have seen the Marriott CEO made a very endearing speech, very emotional, where he had to furlough a lot of team members. And that was followed by one of the most empathetic letters of, in my view, all times by Brian Chesky, when he was having to let go of people. So my view is that COVID was a time where the travel industry was summarily written off, right? I think too early. People said, look at Airbnb's valuation, it has gone down. Of course, our company obituaries were being written about also, saying that, look, the valuation is going down. But my sense is humans have an innate need to travel, is my strong belief that has always existed. That's why we didn't quote unquote pivot, because that was the big discussion of that time. Um, I think every entrepreneur, each entrepreneur sitting in this room would have gone through times when it would have felt that everybody around you is almost believes that you will not see through the sunlight. It is darkness and only darkness all around you. I think that's actually a great moment, because those are times when your team members, your business partners, your shareholders, your board members, they all come together to almost prove the world wrong, saying that we are all going to get into the cave together and say that, we genuinely, there is a reason why we believed in it. So during COVID, look, I think we had to make some tough decisions, and probably the toughest I have ever made, including saying goodbye to some team members, a lot of whom I had personally recruited. I had gone to their houses when they bought a new house. I had gone to see their children when they became parents. So that was a tough time. You combine that with, we are a global business and we had forward invested for growth. It's even harder during that time. But I think it allowed us an opportunity to reinvent ourselves. We changed our cost structures. We changed our business model. Last year was the first year of positive EBITDA, even though it was not that positive, because we still had a fairly large ESOP cost that still existed. This year, hopefully, we'll get closer to that, if not ahead. So I think in some way, like people say, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. I think that's what entrepreneurs do, and that's what makes them special.
The next, I think we would discuss this during one of our chats earlier. I think you were possibly one of the youngest entrepreneurs who were thinking about philanthropy. A couple of years back when we were discussing, right? During my speech, I did mention that for India to hit the 10 trillion GDP, you need wealth creation for economic development and philanthropy for wider economic prosperity. You're, of course, giving back by investing through OYO proners, and you're creating a mini startup investment ecosystem by way of investing. So what are your thoughts on philanthropy and how you?
Look, I think as entrepreneurs, good news is our lifestyles don't change too much over time. And in that, at least my inspiration, and I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs, I'm a first generation entrepreneur. I think in this room, everybody is a first generation entrepreneur. When we started our businesses, we started with a perspective that we will become people like Narayan Murthy and others who will still fly economy after many years of pursuit of business. So lifestyles don't change that much. Even if someday you're feeling wealthy and upgrade to premium economy, even then lifestyle, the wealth creation that you get, it's very hard to utilize all of it. And I genuinely believe hence that giving back is the best use of the wealth that entrepreneurs create. While I'm still in the journey of building OYO, I want to define how I define philanthropy. I think any investment or any investment made with zero expectation of commercial return is philanthropy, which means that sometimes if you're making an investment against a shareholding, that's not philanthropy, that's an investment, that's a commercial investment. And if you're making an investment for truly beyond commercial returns, which is betterment for the community, helping the ecosystem, that's philanthropy. So I'll tell you a few things that I'm passionate about and I'm doing. I think the Thiel Fellowship changed my life. The Thiel Fellowship is an act of philanthropy, which means the $100,000 that Peter Thiel gave me, he took 0 shares for it. I always say that he's the first investor of OYO. He gave me $100,000. Lightspeed gave me $600,000. But the only difference, Lightspeed had ownership for it, and Peter Thiel had 0. Right? Because he genuinely wanted to help other entrepreneurs. And of course, Lightspeed also wants to, but that's their business pursuit. So in the same way, in India, I believe that grassroots entrepreneurship needs to be promoted. So in a bunch of hilly areas like Ladakh, Himachal, and a bunch of these areas, every year I have started a fellowship which I call the Naropa Fellowship. It works with the Drukpa of Ladakh, where we give 5 to 10 entrepreneurs equity free, which means no equity, no debt, grants to them. That hopefully helps them become successful. Similarly, we've started this in, of course, my hometown, because I come from a small town and I feel like there are many local problems there that can be solved. So my perspective is anything that I personally feel passionate about, I will try and sort of support by capital. I think there is one more thing that I feel very closely about, but I've not been able to find the time to solve for it. If I find great partners, I think animals, I personally adopt as many indies as I can. So I feel there are companies and NGOs who are doing a great job in adopting and helping animals have a reasonable, ecosystem around themselves. So I think that's the other thing. These are two things. Entrepreneurship is everything for my life. It's changed my life, so I will try and contribute in every manner
I
possible.
mean, this is fantastic. I think you are in
But
the.
with no, but I also invest for expectation of commercial
Okay,
return.
that's a different story.
Orange Health is here. They've made a big return for me. I'm very thankful to them, to Tarun and team. I'm thankful they chose and considered to take my investment earlier. So a bunch of companies here have helped me make good returns. So I'm thankful to all of them. But that is not philanthropy. That is deep commercial investment for great returns. And I'm very thankful to them.
That's two arcs, economic development and prosperity. So I think both.
That's a good one. Prosperity comes from here, and then the same money we can go and give for economic development. Makes sense.
Yeah, I think you are in the philanthropy capital of India, which is Bangalore. I think for the cost that you mentioned,
Oh, I must give it to Prashant. Prashant is
Yeah,
not here, but I think he's really led the way in the giving pledge. And I know he's launched Unboxing Bangalore recently. Shout out to that. I think, I believe he's done a great job, and credit to
and
him.
he debuted our list today, this year in the philanthropy list.
Oh, well, there you
Prashant.
go. Congratulations to him.
So there are quite a few young founders here as well, right? And you've seen
Everybody looks young, too,
everybody's like looks young, most of them, yeah.
including Rajesh Bhai. I'm a client of theirs
Yeah.
at Ask Wealth.
So you've seen ups and downs, pretty much like a square wave, not even sine wave, right? I think. What would your advice be to your contemporaries and peers or the juniors or however you want to call it, based on your.
I consider everyone peers.
Okay,
And
peers.
rather seniors, if you feel like that's a term to be used.
Yeah.
But look, I'll tell you what are the learnings I have had, if that's relevant for the broader group. I think the first one is what I mentioned earlier, that entrepreneurial conviction is special. If you have conviction over something, the reason why investors invest behind you, team members come and join you, is because they believe in your entrepreneurial conviction. Self-doubt is okay. Being able to reflect on your decisions is okay. But if you truly believe in it and you have done all the checks and balances, don't give up too early. I think I have seen a lot of high quality entrepreneurs, great on paper. I think their intellectual capabilities are probably one of the best. They give up early. And I think that's a huge loss for the entrepreneurial ecosystem, in my view. That's one. The second is, I think the power of great teams is unparalleled. At OYO, I think through these highs and lows, at least I was able to keep my sanity, because I knew that I had a great group of leaders around me. So our company this year is celebrating its 10 years, so it feels like forever since I've been at it. Thank you so much. But I think we can be well worth when we will be probably 15, much more, because I think every year that your company grows older, your ability to grow and make decisions better dramatically gets better. But majority of our leaders have been around for like 7 or 8 years. So I think a great team which stays with you for a long period of time. Now, not everybody can remain forever, but at least for as long as possible. It creates just the ability to deal with challenges, both professionally and personally, becomes so much easier. And the third is, I think, having a strong board. Having a strong board, and initially it can be very daunting for an entrepreneur. It was for me also. Because first time you have bosses, right? Who review you every quarter, who give you feedback every quarter. They say, these are your meets expectations or exceeds expectations or does not meet expectations. It can be daunting. But I have felt that has been exceptionally valuable again to me, because they're able to bring, and especially non-investor board members. I know there's a lot of investors here, but bringing in independent board members has been, for 3.5 years, majority of our board has been independent. It's been a very, very valuable investment. Initially, it was very challenging for me to be able to say that, now you have shareholders and you have board members, and board members don't talk to just investor return. They are looking at customer, hotel owner, governance, regulatory, a much broader framework. So I think these are three things I would say, which is don't give up too early, invest in a good team, and don't be afraid of having a strong board.
Purely from layman terms, before I move to the audience, these board members, how do you remunerate them? Is it on a fixed pay or equity, or how do you get them on? So mine is a bootstrap company. So
Yeah,
if
yeah,
I have
no.
to get a board like that, how do I do it?
See, there's a problem we have technically. Technically, just to explain to the broader group, in Indian Companies Act, my understanding is that independent directors cannot be paid in stock. They're paid on fixed. But the good thing is they're exceptionally talented board members who are genuinely willing to be on boards of companies, not because of just commercial interest. They'll be willing to do it for very small sitting fee, just purely because they want to help the entrepreneurs and the company. But they care about the reputation a lot, which means that they will not take anything for an answer that they don't believe is right for their value system or should be right for the value system of companies. So, of course, a company of our size can afford to have a healthy sitting fee, which is in benchmark of other companies our size. But if you're a small company, there will be a lot of high quality board members willing to support you for lower cost. I think Shashank mentioned earlier that there's a group that they have put together. I think you'll find, high quality bureaucrats, business leaders, who are willing to just want to support young entrepreneurs, and they're willing to be on boards for that rather than for commercial interests.
So over to you. Any questions to Ritesh? You can ask now. Yeah. See, 1, 2.
P9.
Everybody, my name is Pratik Bansali. I am an industrialist and an investor from Bangalore. First of all, to Hurun India and Ask Wealth, fantastic evening of acknowledging
Thank you.
founders. Because a founder goes through many sleepless nights, not for months, for years together. And that's the period when nobody believes in him or her, including people as close as the family members. Some of them think my kid has gone crazy. Until and unless you start growing, and then everybody says that I knew you're going to do something big. So that initiative, and I see smiling faces and people happy for others' success. So I think this is New India, where the young is happy when the other person's doing well. So that's a fantastic initiative. Ritesh, 2 questions specifically to you. One, you're very young and you've already achieved a lot in life, what many would only dream of. So is there something on your mind that you wish to spend a lot of your personal time moving forward, or OYO is going to take most of your time? One. Second, the next 10, 15, 20 years, what do you see as the major challenges in your business per se? Because it's in the service industry and technology is changing, evolving. So do you have a 10, 15, 20-year plan, or what do you think is going to be the major challenges you're going to face? Thank you. Thank you for the fantastic evening. Thanks.
Thank you. No, this is, first off, of course, kudos again for the quality of companies you've put together. I think, to your point, people around you sometimes try to pull you down. I think this happens very often. Everybody in this room will relate. So I'll tell you on a lighter note a story. There was once a news article which said that, OYO is having so much losses, it's going through troubles, and so on, maybe 7, 8 years back, right? So one of our relatives highlighted those parts of the story, took the effort of getting a printout, used Indian Post, which probably nobody anywhere uses, and sent it to home. Ghar mein anyway, there's no letters, etc. that used to come. So mom thought it's an invoice or bill or something and kept it at a corner, right? Like Diwali is the usual time where all the kids go back home, right? It's a pretty normal thing, especially across India, I think. I went back home and I was going through the envelopes and this showed up. And I opened it, has all highlights. saying the losses are this much, right? Too much dilution has happened. And then maybe a few months later was my brother's wedding. At the brother's wedding, the same relative came to me and said, well done, you're doing a great job. I said, you'd sent this letter. He said, oh, that was long back. Right? So it happens all the time. You shouldn't, don't take it seriously. It happens all the time. And I told them that, look, if I was in your shoes, I would also think that it doesn't make logical sense that, why would a kid from Raigada be building a business this large? It doesn't make logical sense. There should be a catch. And that newspaper you felt like was the catch you found. So I don't have a problem with it. I appreciate it. I don't appreciate it, but I understand. To your questions, what do I believe could be challenges? One, time. Look, I genuinely believe, like most entrepreneurs, that whatever has happened is probably just 1% of what I would like to build in the future. So I genuinely believe that my time will continue to go into OYO 110% of the time. So I'm excited about it. And I hope, I can make my fellow entrepreneurs and India proud about the work we will do. Just for context, a lot of time, I spend time explaining this quite often. Most people wouldn't know that we manage over 80,000 holiday homes in Europe. We have a fairly large business in the United States and various other geographies. So while our India business is a very special one to heart, but we truly are, like Samir was mentioning, an India for the world story, where we build these products for India and then we are trying to send it overseas. To the second question, challenges and opportunities. Look, I think in a service industry, customer service is the hardest, right? As we came out of COVID, a lot of our hotels were just not ready for the big jump in demand that would come. So last 1 year, to be honest to this group, I and our management team have focused all our time to make sure that all customer issues can be resolved to the very least. Because as soon as the business jumped, it went from last year, our occupancies at hotels almost doubled in FY23. And remember, last year, se pehle recovery had started in COVID. So there was a rapid expansion in demand. It was important to make sure that you get your customer service right. I finally feel like we're in a good place, but we still have to do more. So there's another 6 to 12 months of get the basics to an excellent stage is our focus. But beyond that, I think for the next 10 to 15 years, our hope will be to continue to become a better version of ourselves on the customer side. Because there are a few things that will be similar, and there are a few things that may change. Customers will always want a good location, no matter what. Never customer in 10 years is going to say, I'm happy to stay in a bad location. Customer will always want value. And customer will not say, I want to overpay for a service. Customer will always want good quality of experience. These three things we believe will not change, whether it is 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Many other things can change. The technology customers used to reserve, the currency or the software they used to reserve, and those things will continue to play catch up or lead ideally. But these three things, I think we're investing very rapidly so that we can have long-term value. So those are the two thoughts I have. Thank you.
I had a question. Krishnamurthy, my name. What's your experience? You talked about your global expansion. What's your experience been taking your services abroad? And what would your advice be for young entrepreneurs who want to expand abroad?
That's a very good question, Mr. Modi. I think, first off, let me be upfront and honest in saying that not all of it was a glowing success. There was, today I'm able to sit here and discuss about successes. I will also use the opportunity to share challenges we've gone through so that it's valuable for the group. So I think the good thing is that the world is waiting for Indian technologies, Indian talent, and Indian consumer brands to come to their nation. Around the world, the good thing is our country is seen with a lot of love and appreciation, thanks to the diaspora that has gone from India. The diaspora has gone and done a good job. They're seen as respected people. They're seen as people who don't try to shortchange. And that's the same expectation they have from us as other Indians who are going to different parts of the world to pursue business. We grew around the world. I think as we scaled to destinations like US, Europe, Latin America, Southeast Asia, we saw astounding success. Because small business owners said, hotel owners and homeowners said, There's a great technology. It gets me more business. I would love to partner with them. The services are quick because all the services are handled by people sitting in Gurgaon or Kolkata or one of the cities where we have a back office. And here teams operate with very tight SLAs. They're available 24/7. A lot of our homeowners were used to services which were Monday to Thursday, call us between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. GMT, right? Now it is very different. Now they have 24/7 support and so on. Similarly, our customers feel like the experience is so much better because it's a fluid mobile interface versus that of a clunky web interface that they used to use. Of course, some customers of ours still use web, but we are trying to graduate as many people as possible to mobile format. So those are all the good things. I think challenges. One thing is, I think in some countries, we probably grew too fast, faster than we should have. At that point of time, it's very hard to judge that what's the best pace. But I think if you grow too fast, it may come with challenges that take longer than what it should have to be able to fix and revamp. And I think we've been able to reflect on it and make the changes that we needed to. But that's the two recommendations I would tell entrepreneurs. That is one, the world's waiting for you. Take your product and the world would be surprised how good the things that we are building here are. But at the same time, give it the time required for it to have the product market fit, because once it is proven, then scale will be higher than you would imagine. Those are my learnings from our global expansion.
Great. I think any other questions? Okay, we'll take one last question and then we'll start.
WHO, this Tejasvi here. I'm also part of the hospitality company. I'll share the details after this. The question is, WHO is again issuing some directives as to how there could be disruptions. I don't want to use any other words. So, I mean, you're laughing because you're in a much better position. We took some hard punches, survived, and we are continuing to grow. So how do you think it'll play out in case we end up encountering something similar or worse? How do you think it'll play out?
Thank you, Tejas, for the question. And the one thing that gives people from the hotel and the travel industry sleepless nights is when WHO issues directives at different points of time. I'm told that you lose calories when your heart beats very fast for long. So if there is any good outcome of it. But look, I think, I feel that there are 2 or 3 perspectives I have on it. The first one is the world has learned how to deal with an issue as large as COVID just a couple of years back. So I don't think that in the future things will get as bad as it got 2 or 3 years back, because people are a lot more pragmatic. The simplest way to compare is the wave 3 versus wave 2. Wave 2, frankly, was genuinely bad. But people were able to come back on their foot. And there was a wave 3 that came during COVID. But, you know, things did not stop to the extent that it had stopped during wave 1 and wave 2. So I think we have all learned. It was an unknown when it started. So we all had to be more cautious. So my hope and belief is that, next time on it will be dealt better. Not better, I would say in a different way, which is more efficient, because every time we learn from an experience, we become more efficient. Second thing I would say is that I genuinely believe that hope is not a plan. So every travel and hospitality company should have a plan lest this were to happen. Harsha talked about climate tech. There's a lot of conversation saying that the next time there's a climate change event, there could be something as bad for various industries. And of course, that time maybe our industry doesn't get impacted, some other industry gets impacted. So I think we have to be prepared that there could be disruptions in the world we live in today. And if we have a plan for it, it will hopefully be something that we will still be disappointed by, but we will tie it past in a good way. And the last one is, I believe in the Almighty, so I hope the Almighty will bless us with not more challenges like this. Thank you.
Ritesh, I have to ask this question to end the whole thing. You joining Shark Tank in a while.
Yes.
So are you going to be like a very mean shark or a nice shark?
What do you think?
Very nice shark.
I don't believe in giving surprises, so I will try. But look, I think, first off, Shark Tank has truly democratized entrepreneurship in India. I think I know there are memes also that come about Shark Tank often. So I'm just hoping there are not many memes on me. But it is democratized entrepreneurship. I was in Jaipur recently opening one of our hotels. So we typically invite other hotel owners, other business people in the community to come and join us for dinner. And a lot of families came and were saying, अच्छा हमारे बच्चे भी अभी entrepreneurs बन रहे हैं Shark Tank जैसे. Right? So I think in some way, it has taken entrepreneurship to people's drawing rooms, which I must give credit to how well they have executed in the last 2 years. I think the Naropa Fellowship was a starting point of me trying to give back. In Shark Tank, of course, these are deals, but I think the amount of, the days that I would spend there would predominantly be to try and meet these entrepreneurs and see if I can support them in any way. My hope is if Shark Tank can help empower and enable in India over time tens of lakhs of entrepreneurs, it would have served its purpose, at least to the extent my perspective is there. This year, the upcoming season, the entrepreneurs that I am seeing are truly high, I think they're probably really, really high quality. So I hope you all enjoy the season. Please do watch it and share your feedback, good, bad, or tough, but hopefully not in the form of memes. Thank you.
Ritesh, my friend, thank you very much. Big round of applause. Thank you.